Welcome to another week of Leadership Moments. Last week we looked at training. We also looked at communicating the vision and the ministry of First Presbyterian Church. This week I want to look at shepherding as a piece, a dynamic piece of community groups, and also how as a leader you can help new members or even visitors, regular attenders, integrate into the life and the ministry of First Presbyterian Church. So first of all, shepherding. Here's some great metaphor words to think about shepherding. It's like your community group is a pen with sheep in it, and you are the shepherd of those sheep in that pen. And as a result of that, you are nurturing them, you are praying for them, you are supporting them, you are protecting them. You, in a real sense, are one of their primary shepherds. And so I want to hold that up to you as a leader to think about that and pray that God would give you the wisdom and the courage to lead like a shepherd the members of your community group. Secondly, community groups are a great way. If you have someone who is a recent new member of First Pres, or even someone who's just visiting and has been brought into your community group, it's a great way. That community group is a great way to integrate them into the life and ministry of First Presbyterian Church. So I want you to take advantage of those opportunities when you have new members or potential members in the class, that you can use that to sort of lay out the DNA, who we are as a church and what we believe in and how we're trying to restore people and rebuild places through the gospel of Jesus Christ here in Augusta and around the world. It's a great place for you to be able to do that. And also, let me leave you with this thought. Healthy community groups grow new community groups. So that should be one of our aims, is that our group will continue to grow, and once it gets beyond 8, 10, 12 people, it's probably time to birth a new group. Healthy groups do that. They birth new groups. So remember that as you're leading as well. And until next time, remember to keep on learning and keep on leading.
Welcome back. We're at week 10. In the 10th week of this study, we're covering 6 chapters, Paul's second and third missionary journeys. The first question I ask when I come to this number of chapters, 6 chapters, is how can I cover this much material just in one Bible study? The first thing that I want to encourage you in that it is a good idea to cover multiple chapters at a time when doing a study. It forces you to ask the question, what is the theme of this particular section? It forces you not to get bogged down in one particular verse, but you should think through what is the overarching message that these 6 chapters carry. The last work we did in the New Testament puzzle book, you were forced to read multiple books at a time during the course of 1 week. That's a great discipline. It's also great discipline to look at 5 or 6 chapters at a time and ask yourself, what's the main message of those 6 chapters? The last thing that most of us are familiar with is doing it verse by verse. And while it is a great practice, I think all 3 of these are required if you're ever going to further your studying of the Word of God. So be encouraged when you come to these 6 chapters at a time. A resource that I continually use when I'm forced to work through 6 chapters at a time is this book by Ken Boa and Bruce Wilkerson. It's Talk Through the Bible. They have a chapter for each book of the Bible. So for the book of Acts, they have a full chapter just dedicated to it, and it has 3 things that I think have proved to be very helpful. The first is a table, providing a summary of the whole book of Acts that you can go back to, and it helps position you to remember where you are in the book. The second thing that it has is an outline of each chapter, very brief summary statements that I think will help you as well. And finally, it has maps. If you're ever going to understand Acts, you have to understand maps. You have to understand where Paul's going. And in this section of his second and third missionary journeys, he is going. He's moving from Philippi, Thessalonica to Athens, Macedonia, Corinth, and there's a lot of activity taking place, and you have to keep up with it. Well, the second suggestion I have for you is when you're faced with 6 chapters at a time, is to take hold of a theme. And the themes that I think present themselves that are easy to follow here is the first one is God rescues. Read through these 6 chapters with the lens of how does God rescue His people? And I think some examples will jump off the page to you. The second theme that presents itself is that God uses our words. St. Francis of Assisi once said that, "Preach the gospel and when necessary use words." That's a great statement. It reminds us that our lives and our actions should reflect and testify to God's goodness. But what's also true is that our words do matter. And we need to be a people who are having gospel conversations with people. Watch how Paul does that. Whenever he's dropped into a particular context, he changes his message to address the needs of the people who he's speaking to. But the gospel shines bright in each of these incidences. So I would just encourage you, work through the 6 chapters, take hold of some of these themes, and make those themes what you talk about in your group time. Thanks.